All right. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Freedom Friday. I'm your wonderful host, Troy Wagner with Free Press Marketing. Coming at you live here in Free Press Studios, downtown Oxnard. Sun's not out yet today. It's a little gloom. Do we have the June gloom going on? Maybe. I don't know. But how was everyone's week? Hope everyone's enjoying the freedoms they have and entrepreneurship um, and with their business. Shout out to our unofficial sponsor, Cielo Artisan Desserts. These are the awesome 24-ounce stainless steel tumblers we had made for them. So I'm drinking. I kept one for myself, of course, so I could have as a sample and to drink out of. So I have my usual, my Cafe de Olla, courtesy of Cielo. Keep Carlos and the Ramirez family in your prayers and thoughts. He's still in the hospital and not back to work yet. So he had an injury while playing soccer, head injury. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers for a speedy recovery. And we miss him around here. Just went over there next door. I think there's just one guy running the whole show. So they need him back, and we want him back. So wish him a speedy recovery. Today we have a special guest, Eric Knight with the American Cancer Society. He also has some other projects going on. We've worked on a couple projects together, or at least one in the past, hopefully more in the future. So we'll be bringing him on here in just a few minutes, and he can tell you all about himself and what he does and how awesome he is. But first I want to talk about how awesome I am. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. No. Who's watching? Is anyone out there? Let me see. I'm going to go to my tablet, see if we have any watchers besides my mom. And let's see if I can even see it. I always have an issue. I always have technical issues. Is that like with every show that we watch? Having technical difficulties. Let's see. My channel. Does it even show we're even live? Oh, here we go. We're live on my channel. Oh, I got to hear myself. Nope. So we have 9 subscribers. Cool, cool, cool. I can't tell if anyone's watching. So, oh well. I'll try on the computer, pull it up. The issue I always have with trying to pull something up on my computer is, as you guys know by now, it's slow. I need a new laptop. So if anybody wants to donate a high-powered laptop to me, that would be cool. I'd appreciate that. That'd be great. The fastest laptop money can buy, about 5, 10 grand. No big deal. Just go out to Best Buy, Fry's. They'll price match. Find the best deal at least. I'm not greedy. But yeah, go out, get that, and bring it over, and then you'll be able to enjoy more Freedom Fridays, hopefully with better resolution. So as always, I already had my morning cup of coffee, and I'm working on my second because it's Friday, and you need at least 2, 3 cups to just make it through after a long week of crushing it. I don't know, goal crushing, grinding, hustling, whatever your word is for what you do. So on this show, we try to celebrate freedom in many forms, in many ways, mainly, as it pertains to business owners and entrepreneurs, and because they are seeking that freedom that comes with, being your own boss, so to speak, and being able to kind of make your own rules and forge your own path and follow your passions, desires, your dreams, your ideas, making those things happen, creating something from nothing. It's tons of hard work, and as always, we always encourage everybody to just don't ever give up, ever. I don't care how many times you fail in what it is you're doing, in chasing it, you have to keep going. We fail miserably, at least, I don't know, once a day around here, probably. I don't know. But, got to just keep going, learn from the failure, learn what doesn't work, push through it. I listened to some cool self-help stuff. I shared last week how I always looked at self-help as like, I don't know, I always kind of, I don't know how to say it. Not look down on it, but was like, self-help for the weak, right? I grew up a little different, I think, than some people nowadays. Maybe, I grew up, we played every sport. We were pretty rough growing up, and we were coached by rough coaches who didn't pull punches and told it like it was and pushed us, and, then joined the Marine Corps, of course, where you're just nothing but pushed and belittled and told to quit. You're going to quit. And then, of course, those who are winners rise to the top and refuse to quit. in the face of that adversity. And so that's good preparation. So I highly recommend anyone out there who wants to, go through hell, join the Marine Corps, and you'll be better for it. You'll learn how to push through adversity in various conditions. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but always a little bit of word of encouragement. Our next guest is hopefully very encouraging. I don't know. We'll see. I know Eric personally. Again, we've done a couple things. We've done Paddle Out for Hope. That happens in like September, October, after making strides. I'll bring him on, let him tell you all about all those things that he does. So instead of me sitting here babbling on for another 20 minutes, which I can do, thanks to good old Cafe de Olla, I always say that wrong, and Sail Artisan Desserts. We'll bring on Eric Knight with the American Cancer Society, among other things. So welcome, Eric.
Hey.
You can hear the applause. Much applause.
Hello. Are we good?
Oh, yeah.
Can
Let's see.
Can the world see what's
I
happening?
don't know. I keep turning off my screen, and I lost it here. I'll go this way.
You guys do
There we
not
go.
want to see what's on this
There
screen.
we go. Yeah, you don't.
It
It's
is.
pro.
What have you been looking at?
This is cliff jumps. Apparently, girls in bikinis do cliff jumps. Probably like Havasu or something. And then this is Live Better, upbeat music. Music
Right.
for working fast in office to focus concentration.
Suddenly I want to
Very
jump
good.
off a cliff.
Very good grammar.
I mean,
In a bikini?
talk about encouraging.
Right?
That's marketing.
That's it right there.
Where they have no idea what we're talking about.
No, they don't. That's
Also,
okay.
I look like he's put me on a chair that's like 8 inches shorter than his. So I look like
I'll go
his,
down like this.
I look like his little brother.
They're all the same, actually.
No, they're not. Mine is
Yeah.
Mine is way
We
shorter.
need a booster seat. I always feel like when I sit in these, they do. These are church chairs, so like you kind of sit down because at church you're supposed to fall asleep, so you need to be comfortable, right? So these are comfortable, but when you sit at a desk, you want to be like have a little bit more support.
Yeah,
And with this, you kind of have to sit on the edge of the chair to actually get that.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
going to stare into the camera.
There you go.
You let me know if I'm falling out of frame.
Right? We're falling back too far. So we can see each other. Right? We can see it right there. So we're good, I think.
I know, and then that weird thing happens where
You're
they
looking there
don't
instead
know,
of there.
They don't know what we're doing.
I know. I always tend to look away, and I always look outside because we have an ATM out. For those of you who've been here, you know we have like an ATM right outside our door, and people are always walking by. And I have my head on a swivel just naturally, like who's behind me, who's near me, who's around me, and so I'm always like talking and looking over there. It's very distracting for you guys, and I apologize for my ADD. I don't know. It's ADD, but
Well, here we are.
I have to have situational awareness.
Yeah, no,
That's what it is.
Situational awareness. Is
Situational
very
awareness.
important.
I've learned that
we
many.
We could have a whole talk
Talk about situational awareness, yes, as it pertains to many things.
Thank you for having me on. This is very cool.
Thanks for coming on.
Troy called me a couple days ago and asked me to be part of this, and I'm excited to be here. I have always loved radio. Like I grew up, you and I are similar generations, and I grew up listening to radio in a great radio market, Chicago, and I just thought, man, like how cool would it be to just like sit in a studio and talk about stuff that gets you excited. And now this is the new age of that, of course, where I mean, there was also, when I was growing up, the exclusivity of it, right? It's like, oh my gosh, so few people are offered this opportunity. And now anybody can do it.
Anybody with a computer.
As evidenced by the fact that
Here we are.
talking to you.
Yeah. Like another thing that's becoming popular, because lives, obviously, through Facebook and YouTube and other channels now, even I think Instagram, Twitter, I mean, everyone has video now, and people can go live and share video. But what amazed me, what I thought was almost a useless or pointless endeavor or media, has now, I guess, become very popular, and that's podcasts.
Yeah.
Like I always like podcasts. Who wants to listen to some boring guy read whatever Moby Dick or something, or whatever? And now it's like it seems like it's gaining a lot of popularity. Podcasts are a big thing.
It's hard to tell how many podcasts there are versus how many podcasts there are that are worth listening to.
That's true too. I guess
also
content is what makes something successful.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I like the sort of bite-sized ones, like This American Life.
Okay.
Right. That's fantastic. I love those things, those stories. But there's a lot of noise out there too. Like you find some subject that you're interested in, and somehow they have a million listeners. You listen, and it's like my neighbor's kid knows more about this subject. But
Yeah, just have to be discerning
Yeah.
and judgmental, I
Yeah.
guess, to a degree. To
Yeah.
pick and choose who you want to listen to, as long as it's providing value. I mean, if it keeps your attention, then maybe we just got to pay attention to how you're responding to the media.
Oh, yeah, no, there's that
You
too.
have to really be in tune with is this even worth listening?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
question it and kind of go through your check mark
In
process.
fact, I'm starting to get into all the stuff I want to talk about. We'll go back to where I work in a second. But yes, in fact, when I come across something that I find myself having an aversion to, I dig in and I stay there.
Really?
Yeah, so I can figure out what I'm having an aversion to.
Okay.
And a lot of times, it just fosters a big burning resentment for the fact
Right.
that I'm wasting my time. But there are
An hour
occasionally-
later?
Yeah. Well, it's not an hour, but
Okay.
I will if I'm finding something I don't like, as opposed to having a knee-jerk reaction of just getting away from it. I'll sit with it and try and sort of be mindful about
Right.
what is it that I don't like. Is it an opinion that's being expressed, or is it a sensibility, or is it the fact that I'm just impatient right now and I don't want to be paying attention
Right.
to something new that's sparking new neurons? And then I realize I'm listening to a Justin Bieber song.
You're gonna rip your ears off.
Actually, I don't think there are many situations where I would just find myself listening to a Justin Bieber song.
Yeah, it happens, yeah.
Except perhaps at a fundraising event.
Right. Let's talk about that.
I'm trying to find the segue.
Yeah, right. There's always a segue. We can always just have an awkward pause of silence and then go into, what do you do, Eric? Tell us about you.
So as Troy mentioned, I work for the American Cancer Society. That's how I got to know Troy. He was involved, I think when we met, you were involved with the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer 5K walk in Ventura. And I was at that time supporting the Paddle Out for Hope event that's attached to the end of Making Strides.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we know each other, which is through my job right now at the American Cancer Society. I've been there for 3 years, and I'm currently in new business income development. I'm a senior community development manager, and what that means is basically the American Cancer Society has offered me the opportunity to step away from managing events and really get into and focus on income generation in the community. And that means finding new sponsor partnerships, new participants who create teams, which is generating income. Right now, my big focus is on third-party fundraising events. So I like to partner with outside organizations, their mission, find some alignment, what they're looking for, and put something together that is both, filling a need for the community and the people that we're going to draw to that event, and also getting exposure to our third party, and of course, income fundraising revenue for the American Cancer Society. There are a lot of other areas in new business development, but basically that's what it is I'm charged with the task of raising money for the American Cancer Society. I also do manage one event. I manage the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer 5K walk in Thousand Oaks, which is coming up on October 27th at the Civic Arts Plaza in Thousand Oaks. And that's really fun right now to be putting that together. And even though that's in October, it's kind of right around the corner.
The one over by Mastro's? Or is that the Performing Arts Center?
Yeah, it's right there.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do they walk? Is it just like
right there?
Right there?
Yeah.
Like on T.O. Boulevard or no?
Yeah, I think it's on. This is my first year managing
Okay.
it, so but I can't remember the course map in my head. But yeah, it's right there through that park.
Yeah, there is, I guess,
T.O. Boulevard, and it's great. And that's cool to be doing not only the income development, but to be working with volunteer committee, because that's pretty energizing for me, is to be working with people who are doing something because their heart's really in it, rather than coming for a paycheck. And there's a balance. There's plus and minuses to both.
Yeah.
But I dig that. So that's what I'm doing with the American Cancer Society now, and I'm really interested in bringing in the entrepreneurial spirit and posture and headspace to that job that's a paycheck job. And
let's talk about that, because obviously this is Freedom Friday, so we talk about here at Free Press Marketing, we deal with startups, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, SMBs and things, and we try to help them as entrepreneurs, and we have support groups and things that are forming here as well, and to help support them. So talk about how freedom or entrepreneurialism, I guess if it's an ism, or entrepreneurship, or that entrepreneurial spirit.
It can be a disease.
I guess. Yeah, could be. Definitely. Terminal. And how, it's not just that spirit isn't necessarily just for people who are starting their own business. You can still have that spirit and that drive in a career or being a professional in an industry, such as yourself. I mean, you are, employed by the American Cancer Society.
Yeah.
You also have other projects that we'll talk about later. But so tell us about, entrepreneurial spirit and how it affects people in a professional environment, or how they can.
This is something I've been thinking about a lot the past couple of years. I sort of stumbled into being part of a really great group called 805 Startups. And I've always been an idea guy. I've always been sort of like, just sort of naturally think outside the boundary lines that I've been given. I don't know if that's my sort of rebellious spirit or what. Yeah. But I always sort of like to color outside the lines. And when it comes to the entrepreneurial spirit in a paycheck job, I think it's not only an option. I think as people, for our own selves, but also for the organizations we're working for, we have a responsibility to think innovatively.
Yeah.
And that's a word that gets thrown around a lot. Disruption gets thrown around even more, and that's
we're disrupting.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
We all want to be the Uber of something, right? Or right. Industry disruptors.
If you're aspiring to disruption, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Like that's not
innovation. Sounds a little bit more.
Yeah. So to think
friendly to others.
Thinking
less destructive.
Thinking innovatively and thinking with the entrepreneurial spirit in the workplace for me really means looking at opportunities outside of what the day-to-day life is. Like fulfillment is not something that's going to happen later. Fulfillment happens every day, and it's an exercise of your decisions and thoughts. It's not something that's coming later. The stuff that comes later, like the rewards of what you do great for your job or what you do great for your own business, those are sort of outcomes or symptoms of your fulfillment. So that's a whole other tangent. But to get back to the entrepreneurial spirit, I did write an article a few months ago that I put up on LinkedIn that my colleagues at ACS really liked, and it found a cool audience about how we need to think innovatively in the jobs that we're doing by finding others who are already out there doing the kind of stuff that you want to do. In other words, for me, I'm a sort of, I get blinders on something, and I think, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. And there's already a bunch of other people out there who've made that wheel.
Right.
And you can align yourselves with those people and really make incredible stuff happen that's outside of just, I got to get these tasks done on this day, or I have this idea and I'm going to figure out how to do it this way myself.
Instead of recreating the wheel,
yeah,
you're aligning yourselves with people that have already created it.
Yeah.
And you're just going to help possibly make changes to it, innovate it,
yeah,
and make it something new or different or.
And it's a risk, when you find yourself at that place where, oh, this is a risk, and it could be a risk in any way. It's sort of like, is my boss going to have my back on this, or is this going to go one way or the other? You're in the right place. When you start feeling that, you're in the right place. I think I read a definition of entrepreneur that had something to do with like, and it didn't feel like a real complete definition, but it was sort of like an entrepreneur is someone who has created a project or a business and is taking a higher than average risk.
Yeah.
And that risk word is what applies to it, whether it's your personal life or whether it's the job you're getting a paycheck for or whether it's something you created yourself. And it's just different risk. There's a risk in having a paycheck job.
Yeah.
That risk is that you are working for someone else's mission. And ideally, hopefully, you believe in that mission and you're passionate about it and you're working towards it anyway. I mean, for me, working for the American Cancer Society, the mission is to lead the fight for a world without cancer. I mean, that's something I can get behind. I get really energized helping fund that mission, the research, the programs, the services.
And it kind of, sorry not to cut you off, but it kind of goes back to what you're saying. Like, let's say you do have a passion for helping or curing cancer. Yeah, you could be an entrepreneur and start your own fundraiser or your own 501c3.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could align with a company that's already doing it and has a lot of power and a budget
Yes.
and fundraising capability already in place. You could just align yourself with them at whether as a volunteer or find employment with that company and help them in their mission. And in that way, and you can bring in whatever you bring into the table, your ideas, your innovative spirit, your entrepreneurial spirit into that, and help make improvements and help build up that. I mean, yeah, it's a paycheck, but and then back to you were saying risk. Risk is almost like a negative word, right? Like people.
Yeah,
Like,
people
risk.
take it. People take it as a negative word,
Don't take
something to back away from. But for me, it's something to approach. And I mean, you don't want to jump off every risk ledge,
Right.
but you do want to approach it, and you want to say, "Is this a ledge that I'm worth going to the work to figure out how to cross?"
Right. Plus, I think too that even though there are people that think they're avoiding risk,
oh yeah, no, yes, no,
you are taking risks no matter what you're doing in life.
Yeah,
so you are a risk taker. You just might not know that you are a risk taker.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Like there's so much around what you're saying right now, and what we're talking about is, to go back to the first thing, yes, there's risk in being an entrepreneur. It's like, oh, what's going to happen financially for me? What's going to happen career-wise? Am I building things of value for people to see in my future as far as what I have to offer, whatever given market I want to be in? Those are big risks, and there's not a lot of safety net for that. You can create safety net. That's a whole other conversation. But then, that's traditionally what people think of risk. But there is also that risk in having a paycheck job because you're working in someone else's boundaries. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about people who think they might be avoiding risk or maybe are under the impression that they're avoiding risk by not doing something, there's a cost to not doing something, right? And that's where the real sort of fun stuff comes in with coaching, personal coaching and professional coaching, which maybe we'll talk about in a couple minutes, but is really getting to realize what's the cost of me not doing that thing that I'm afraid of or that I'm averse to. And that's when people really start to grow, and that's when people really start to transform. And that's the cool fun stuff. That's how I got. Do we have a minute to talk about where I come from, how I landed here?
Please.
At the ACS.
Yeah, we got all day.
All right,
I don't have to be anywhere.
So it's gonna be 6 o'clock at night. We're gonna be drinking our 40th coffee, and then
we'll be eating lunch at the same time. And so please tell us.
So I come to the nonprofit world a way that I don't know many others have. I don't think I'm, super Mr. Unique, but I don't know that there's a lot of people who come to this world the way I did. I had a whole previous career in the entertainment industry. I managed from an administrative point a production company run by a couple of celebrities who were friends of mine, very good people. And so I was a creative executive and later moved into the director of development for that company, later worked as head of development for a billion-dollar movie producer. And so I was in that world, that entertainment industry world. And I got to the point where it just wasn't really feeding my soul, but I didn't realize that was the problem. Yeah. What I thought was the problem for a long time was that everybody else was an a-hole. And it was true to some extent, right? But that's neutral information. Mm-hmm. It's neutral information that this guy's a piece of garbage, and this guy's a piece of garbage, and this woman's a piece of garbage who did us wrong in this way. It's not that that's not true. It's that that's completely neutral information. I have a part in that. My part in that was that I kept going to work and being around that piece of garbage and that piece of garbage. You were
consciously making a choice to surround yourself by garbage.
Yes, choice. But I didn't for a long time. I didn't think I had a choice. I thought, well, this is what I do. I'm a guy in the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. This is what I do, and it's everybody else's fault that this is a miserable experience. And I was talking to a guy, Aaron Trescher, who is I just kicked the camera. Everything all right?
We're still on.
See, I'm so excited about all this. Hitting the camera. I was taking surfing lessons with this dude, Aaron Trescher. I think he's up in Santa Cruz now. He's a super rad guy. Find him on Twitter. He has super awesome stuff on Twitter. So I'm talking to Aaron Trescher, and I was still working for this big movie producer. But I was up here taking surfing lessons, and I was complaining just like that. I was like, this guy, blah, blah. And finally I said, in the X amount of years I've been in the entertainment industry, the number of people I've met that I actually like, I could probably count on one hand. And he goes, why do you keep hanging out with them? And I was like, well, because you gotta yeah, and I did, let's go surfing,
Yeah.
right? And then
Is this
and then-
surfing or therapy? What are we
Yeah.
doing here?
And then like over the next couple weeks, that just kept knocking around in my head. Like, and I remember one day driving to work after that surf lesson, about a week after that surf lesson, driving to work and just going like, why am I? Like this is a restriction I put on myself.
Yeah.
And I was enjoying Ventura more and more anyway, because I was dating the woman who's now my wife. And so I just gave it up, man.
Yeah.
I put in my notice and I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna move to Ventura where I love the vibe and I love this woman and I love spending time up there, and I got a good resume. I can find something to do.
Yeah.
So I did a little independent producing, and then long story short, I found the American Cancer Society after having interviewed for a job with UNICEF. But that job was going to end up being on the East Coast.
I was about to say, do they have a major
Well,
office out here?
they've got offices in LA,
Okay.
and they were looking for somebody to run their celebrity ambassador program.
Oh.
And because of my experience with that and relationships I have with people at UNICEF, there was a really good shot I was going to get that gig. But it was originally going to be in Century City. Then they moved it to New York, and I wasn't ready to do that. But the good news was, like, suddenly there was this whole world. After years of just being me, hanging out with people whose priorities are power and prestige and ego, suddenly it was like, wow, here's this nonprofit world that I can offer my business experience to. And I walked in, this awesome woman named Angie Doss interviewed me, and immediately, like, there was a click there, and I got hired at the American Cancer Society.
Nice.
So.
It's funny that I guess if you want to call it the revelation of, why am I still doing this, came during a surf lesson.
Yeah.
And I come from the fitness industry, personal training and managing gyms and things. And so many personal trainers always talk about, like, am I a therapist or a personal trainer?
Yeah,
because half of the hour or half-hour sessions really spent the clients just venting.
Yeah.
And going on and on about their job or their whatever, that they're going.
Yeah.
The trainer's just listening and then offering advice. And it's funny that the advice would come from a surf instructor or a trainer, because those people are actually people that have said no and started pursuing, like, I love surfing. I'm going to find a way to make a living and do it this way. I love working out. I'm going to train other people and help other people.
Yeah.
So it's funny that it comes from those people. So instead of spending, hundreds of dollars an hour on therapy, just go get a surf lesson, go hire a personal trainer. You get to get in shape and learn something new like surfing, and you get therapy. So, I shout out to all the personal trainers and instructors out there.
I know a young woman named Chelsea Gray who's a yoga teacher and a coach. And it's funny because those two things really do go hand in hand. Also, the receptiveness, just on a sort of neurological level, in that moment with Aaron, I would literally, my body was doing things that my brain didn't know about at the time. And so when you start engaging your physical body and your head, and you're physically in a different space, you're actually sort of open to creating new connections and pathways that you wouldn't normally
literally neurons are firing differently.
And that happens in the gym, it happens in yoga, it happens when you're out surfing, and
you're open and more vulnerable too.
And it's interesting, it's entirely possible that someone had said that same thing to me 2 or 3 or 5 years before that, but I was in a context of being in a production office, or I was in a context.
It may have come from one of the assholes.
Right. Yeah. So
it doesn't mean anything.
It was just there in that moment. I was open to it, which was a total accident, because at that time I wasn't really that experienced with, being present and mindful and all that stuff. Although that was underway too. So, that's interesting. Yeah. There's those different contexts.
So I'm gonna go be an instructor somewhere. That was awesome. Well, that kind of leads us into, though, if you want to get into that now, about what your current endeavors are. And
so
a good segue, I guess.
In addition to the American Cancer Society, I recently completed my coach training with the Coaches Training Institute, which is one of the gold standard learning institutions for coaching.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm super excited to have completed that. And I started it a couple years ago. I actually started it about 2.5 years ago when I was starting the American Cancer Society. And then I realized, you can't say yes to everything all at the same time. So as much as I loved the coaching training when I started it, I sort of put it on hold. And then last year I really ramped it up again, and I just graduated from the Coaches Training Institute. So I'm right now taking on clients in personal and professional coaching. My niche right now that I'm focusing on is habit coaching, because it's something that I know a lot about. And it's not about the knowledge that I have or that I can tell people specifically what to do to change their habits. There's a little bit of that, but mostly it's that I have context for people who are struggling or feeling trapped or feeling stuck because they can't stop doing something they want to stop doing, or they know they need some sort of routines or habit sequences to inform their best life, and they just don't really know how to build it or how to get there.
We talked about that at one of our Thursday morning groups a while back, creating habits for success. And you really can, to a degree, like program outcomes for your life.
Yeah.
So if you have a goal, you have to decide like, okay, well, if I need to be here, what habits, like what can I start doing? Do I have to wake up earlier? I mean, it's hard. It's work. It's
so
hard to change.
Yeah.
And then having a coach, obviously someone that can hold you accountable and push you through it,
yeah,
talk you through it, get you through it, can, speed up the process. I'm in the middle of self-development myself and trying to create new habits to change my life.
Yeah.
I don't like where I'm at. I need to be somewhere else where I actually see myself, where I've seen myself for years. So I need to start, creating those habits.
That's exactly what I do as a coach, and the company that I've formed called Journey Designers. And I work with other coaches. Yeah. Let's show the logo.
Cool logo.
Nice. JourneyDesigners.net is the website.
We'll put that in the link. We'll put the link to the LinkedIn article and a link to your website.
Cool, thank you.
In the description below, so you guys can click and check that out.
So right now, through Journey Designers, I'm the only coach. I do have other coaches standing by who are trained by the Coaches Training Institute should I end up getting more clients than I can handle. I can only take 2 clients a month right now.
Yeah.
And my particular niche is a high-ticket coaching service, just because I have a full-time job. I can only take 2 at a time. I also find that when people invest in a high-ticket service, they're more likely to stay accountable to it.
Oh, yeah.
So all the information is there on that website. But you're absolutely right. I mean, he and I have not talked about this before this. Nope. You actually completely nailed what's in a couple of my promotional videos, which is called personal mastery. And that's being able to bridge the gap from where you are right now to the vision you have for yourself. Personal mastery is building that bridge. And part of personal mastery is that mindfulness about what you need to do and learning what you need to do to get from here to there. And I talk a lot about this. A lot of the personal development I did myself was just through a really long process of reading stuff and watching stuff and all that. And I would have done myself a really huge service to start seeing a coach way before I did.
Because it saved you hours, months,
yes,
and days and years.
As soon as I started seeing a coach, I mean, the progress was like
shot up exponentially.
I mean, it's
more
just
than
amazing. And it's not that there's not good stuff out there. I mean, I'll tell you right now, go read Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn. Boom, life changer, right? Maxwell Maltz is the godfather of personal development. He's got a book that reads really strange, but there's some good information in it. There's some great stuff. I personally stay away from the stuff that's considered sort of like hardcore, sort of traditional personal development. I'm not a Tony Robbins guy.
Right, yeah.
I'm not really into that stuff that's got NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming. I don't do that as a coach, and I've never responded to it. And that's the sort of stuff I had to sift through. But as soon as I started talking to a coach, dude, I was off, and it was nice. It was on. So those are the places where, we were just talking about when you're in a headspace to create those new pathways and those new thoughts and those new sequences. You really do that one-on-one with someone. That's not stuff that you get real quickly through reading a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so, it's hard. The first, to take something from, I guess, AA or one of those other things, like you got to first admit that you have a problem, like recognizing that, because like you were just so stuck. I guess if you want to call it a rut, whatever you want to call it, like in this box, like, no, this is my career. This is what I'm doing. I'm surrounded by assholes, but you just keep your head down and you're just going in the same direction. You don't even realize that there's somewhere else you'd rather be.
Right.
Like you have to first come to a realization that this is not what I want. Like, recognize your frustrations, recognize your anger, recognize your whatever with where you're at, and see and analyze yourself.
And be okay with it.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that I heard your thoughts on personal development while I was sitting off stage in hair and makeup. And
we have a makeup specialist.
I was the same way. In fact, to some extent, I still am around personal development and self-development. It's like I always had sort of weird impression of it that was like, that is not for me. That is not what I do.
Mhm.
You know, you and I grew up sort of similar, like really different ways. Like I was not an athletic guy. I went the other way. I was the sort of like party dude, sort of slacker, stoner, you know, all that.
I did that later after that was high school. But yeah.
But you know, there was that same sort of fixed mindset of like, I am who I am, and that personal development stuff is, you know,
Garbage.
is garbage.
It's for the weak. It's for whatever. I
It's
mean,
for the weak,
whatever,
it's whatever.
excuse. Yeah, I mean.
And then I really got into it, and I was like, oh, now I see what it really is. But, you know, I still can have this weird reaction to it because I study it a lot, because I'm a coach. I like to keep up on, you know, my favorite, you know, magazines and articles that I read and texts, so go back through these things. But I can get, it can sort of make me a little car sick, the personal development stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the only feeling that I can name it, because I've thought about like, what is this feeling when I have this, like when I'm going through personal development, self-improvement, I'm trying to find something new to read. That's the only word I can come up with for this feeling that I get sometimes, is I just get a little nauseous. I just get a little car sick. And it's like, people try to come up with like new terms for the same things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so
rebranded stuff. Like in the fitness world, the big thing now is keto diet. That's the Atkins diet, dude. Like,
yes.
Like you just
Actually,
it's keto, and it's like we brought in new science with the ketones, and now, dude, it's the Atkins diet, bro. Like,
So I'm not of that. Where, and it is, it's branding, right?
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel
but it's branding. It's somebody saying that, you know, a frustration around where you're at with your professional life is now called something.
It's a rebranding.
Right. They sort of rebranded, and then they package it for their own thing they're going to sell. And they're like, I know more about this than anybody else. And if you want to...
I'm a guru now.
I'm a guru. Oh, my God. The word guru makes me insane.
I'm in marketing, so everything I get on Facebook is they're the new gurus, and get 1 million Facebook likes tomorrow, and we're you know.
And there's systems, right? Everybody wants to come up with a system. And it's like, I have my own philosophy around what wellness means. Mm-hmm. And somebody was talking to me about it, about like, you need to make that your thing, right? You need to make that be your thing. And I'm like, but I didn't make it up, right? And it's not really mine to like own, but it's, at the same time, I don't necessarily have a marketing mind. Yeah. So I get a little bit of verse when I'm marketed to that specifically, of like, here's this system that's going to change you forever. I'm like, get me
it's like over marketed. It almost, to me, that's where I think that's part of maybe the aversion to it all, is I kind of see through that stuff. And it's like, are you really just trying to market and sell me something? Or are you really trying to help me build my business?
Right.
I mean, you know, it's over marketed to the point of, bleh, right? That's where you get sick.
No,
it's
exactly.
Like, dude, you know, it's hard. You feel that they're not as genuine as you would hope that they would be.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, you know, my fear, I mean, this whole world of me marketing a coaching business and a coaching company for myself is a scary place, because my number one thing is I want to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I find myself in a headspace where it's like
marketing,
I have to attract. Because my headspace is never really going to go into a place where I have to promote myself. Right. That makes me really sick. Like I have
what makes me sicker on the same is that all that stuff works, and they are getting a lot of clients.
Are they? I mean, I don't know. I guess, but
I think they are, because they're reaching such a broad audience with their marketing, and they are appealing to their target audience. I guess those people that they want to invest in that product or service, and so you know it works, but. You know, I feel that maybe with your brand, or whatever you want to call, I don't want to call it brand, but your brand, your company, your service, since it is niche, I don't feel that everyone has to go there to be successful. Like you don't have to do this crazy funnel system, landing on a landing page that's 10 miles long, and you read how great and case studies and blah, blah. It's like, you don't have to go that far. You can put yourself out there without making people sick.
Yes, that's my hope. And you know, like I have an ad campaign that's running right now, and it is the traditional sort of like it's paid ads, and it leads to a landing page that shows a video. And if you like that video, you click and you schedule, you click the link and schedule a call with me. And that's sort of traditional stuff.
It's simple. That's brass tacks. That's like bare bones. That's what you should do.
And I actually watched that video again this morning just to make sure. I was like, well, there might be some people who want to see this who end up watching my YouTube video. I want to make sure this is actually as authentic as I thought it was when I put it together. And it is, and it's pretty, like, I'm on the beach. There's like seagulls in the background, like almost pooping on my head.
That would have been really authentic if it actually did.
And I'm like, I'm not the best audience to know if that comes across as authentic or not. But you know, everything I say in my promotional videos or on my webpage or on my Facebook page, they're all super authentic. And I'm not coming up with, you know, here's this system you need to follow, and I'm the only one who
30 days to a new career or whatever.
Right. My program is a 6-week program, but it's also not like I'm promising you the world after that 6 weeks, which makes the marketing a lot harder. Right? When there's not, you know, because you hear all these messages about marketing. It's sort of like, you need to super define the outcome. Nobody cares about you or your values or your history. All they care about is what you're going to get from it.
You will produce results. Here's the results. Promote the results. Promote the results.
I think the real marketing does lie in people buying my values and who I am. And of course, they want to fill their own need and they want their outcome. But I'm not going to be like, you're going to, also, God, the thing around coaching that happens so much that you see is like, it's convincing people they're going to have more money when they're done with your thing, right?
Experience financial freedom.
Yes.
and you know, whatever. It's always, you know, someone on a island somewhere, right? Like,
that is the hugest red flag. If you're seeing that, if you're looking for a coach and you see something,
or a marketing agency or a marketing person, like same.
Anything promising you financial security. What the promise should be is that you will be fulfilled, or you will be on your road to fulfillment. All that other stuff is like I said earlier, that the money, the car, the relationship, the whatever. That's an outcome. That's a symptom of living a fulfilled life. That's not what you should be buying when you're looking.
I mean, we try to focus on the work. Like, there's work to be done, and that's what we're actually selling you. Like, work. There's a work and a process that you have to go through to come through and reach your goals. Like, the goals just don't happen.
That's right.
You know, in marketing, we could talk about, you know, join us today and guarantee you'll have $10,000 in 30 days. It's a fine line. I struggle with how to market our product service and not go to that place where it's that tacky or whatever we want to call it. But, you know, I'd rather describe the solutions and describe the process to a point. Like, we can do this for you, and talk about that it is work and it is a commitment. And that we're here to support you and hold you accountable. It's almost like coaching. Like business coaching and marketing almost.
It absolutely is. I mean, when I started working with you on Swift Cause, which we'll talk about another time, which is something we're going to do. When I started working with you on Swift Cause, I mean, you were absolutely coaching me through that process. Like, I didn't know what it meant to build a website or to have all those different things happening on it, or to position it in a way that it was going to, you know, find the people we wanted. So, I mean, what you do is coaching. It's in a little bit of a different context.
Yeah, we actually do a lot of the work for clients, so I guess they don't have to do too much work. But either way, we help them through it, or we do the work for them. But it's a little different.
And you're right about when you talk about, like, it's not that somebody needing $10,000 for something is a bad thing, right? Say there's a small nonprofit that needs $10,000. They want to run a capital campaign because they need $10,000 for such a thing. That needing $10,000 isn't a bad thing, but you saying you need $10,000 and I'll get you $10,000 is where it gets really yucky.
Yeah,
right. Not that you've ever done that.
No,
not that you. The theoretical marketing.
Even with clients, you know, I don't like, there's no guarantees, man.
Right.
Like, we're going to do work and we're going to analyze that work, and if it's not producing the results we want, then we pivot. And we do something else. It's all marketing is a science.
It's all course correction.
It's observation, repeatable. Like, there's a science to it, so to speak. You know, in a process that you go through in marketing your business. The same process doesn't work for every business, doesn't work for every company in every industry. So it's an experiment, and we just keep doing it with you to help you through it all. Just like coaching, you know, it's an experiment. People respond differently to different things.
Absolutely, and that's why one-on-one is so important. And that's one of the things that I like to stress. And in the discovery calls that I do before I take on clients, I am almost as much interviewing them as they are figuring out if I'm for them, because there are situations where I won't take on a client. First of all, I can only take 2 a month. But second of all, if I don't feel I'm the best person to help them, I'll say no, and I will ideally point them to someone who can, because I know a lot of coaches and I know addiction specialists, and that's one of the fine lines for habit coaching, is being able to assess if someone's really got that sort of sphere of thing that I can help them with, or if they're saying like, I keep wrapping my car on telephone poles and jumping naked through plate glass windows, and I've been in rehab 5 times. Like, dude, you need to talk to a D. Jaffe in Beverly Hills, right? You're not. You don't need to talk to me. So
you need help outside of my scope of what.
Yeah, and there's ways to. There's also there's pretty easy ways to get those things out of people, because I've talked to people who insist that their problem is not addiction, and
they're not ready,
and it's not, and it is addiction.
Yeah. It's like they haven't come to that place where they're calling you because it's almost like a different reason they're calling you. They're not calling you from a place of like, I'm ready to do work. It's almost like they're calling you like, can you change me? It's not, no, I can't change you, dude. I can coach you through you doing the work and you changing you if you recognize that there's another place you need to be. There's a weird, I guess you probably could define it better of what
no, you're absolutely right. What that headspace is someone who's looking to go around something rather than through it. And it's sort of like,
shortcuts.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I stress in those calls when I'm deciding if someone's going to be a good fit for me, is how willing they are to work.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because it's work, and that's another one.
Do you have a questionnaire like they use for everyone, or is it kind of like just?
I have an outline. I have sort of a skeleton that I go through of things.
We're creating one right now for
marketing.
As well.
I like to follow the energy of the conversation. I don't like have a script, but there are certain things I definitely like to hit.
Yeah, it's definitely key questions. To then you can gauge the answers and determine.
It's painful though. Like being on the phone with someone who is ready to say, yes, I will pay you for your service, and saying you'll be better off with someone else is hard. It's not. Like you got to be. I make sure I am in the right headspace before those calls. I schedule all my calls like hours after anything else I'm doing. I'm not going to go from a meeting at my day job to one of those calls.
You're not in the right headspace.
Back to back.
No, you're in a different you're in a different world in your mind. So it's a definite mindset you need to be in, where you have to kind of think of putting the client first and really getting that headspace of, I have to listen. And listen for cues, and not have the outcome of this conversation be me getting a client.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right.
This is a discovery call, and I need to discover if I'm the right fit for this person, and this person is the right fit for my services.
I love that you say that. At the top of my sheet that I use as my skeleton outline is the words, the purpose of this call is to serve the potential client. It is not to book that client. The purpose of this call is to be of service. And if that service means I clarify my offer and they love it and they're a good fit and I book them, that's great. If me being of service to them means pointing them in a different direction, or just leading them to one discovery on that call that they take away and I don't book them as a client, that's a
good goal. That's a good goal. And that's what
separates
separates good coaches, great coaches, from the other fodder that may be out there.
That's right. And speaking of what separates real coaches from not real coaches is, for me and for ICF, coaches don't tell people what to do. So there's a lot of, coaching is an unregulated industry, which is good, kind of, and not so good. And one of the not so good is anybody can call themselves a coach. And people who call themselves coaches who have not been through any sort of formal coach training tend to think that in more of a consultant mindset. So a consultant will tell you what to do. A consultant will be like,
lay out a game plan.
Here's what you're going to do. And a coach, a real coach, is someone who finds in the client the stuff that they need to get from here to there. So it's more about discovery and transformation. I've sat in coaching sessions with clients where I'm just dying to tell them the one thing that they're not realizing, right? And you can sit there for an hour and they won't get there. And it seems really simple up here. And you just want to say, like, go on the job interview,
Dude, yeah.
right? Like, but you can't, you know. So but there's a lot of coaches out there who are just like drill sergeants, you know. And I see
Yeah.
ads for those things too, and I just go, oh no.
Right.
I almost wish there was a different word for coaching, but again, I'm not the guy who's going to start making up.
Well, I like what you said, like consultant and coach.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yeah.
A consultant you actually pay to give you analysis of what to do in a roadmap to get somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, whereas a coach, I mean, I played sports. Coaches were always just trying to get the best out of you. I mean, obviously they had to tell you what to do as well because they were, you know, this play
Yeah.
is this. I mean, it's a play.
Yeah.
So you got to do a certain thing.
Right.
But it's not just that. They're trying to get something out of you, more work, more physical. It's like a mindset that a good coach will create in a team and the players in that team.
That's right. Have you read You Win in the Locker Room First?
I don't read much.
Such a good book. It's
I have a book I'm reading now. I don't want to say what it is, but
You Win in the Locker Room First. It's a short book. It's an easy read. It's
My style.
two guys. One of them was I think a Super Bowl winning coach, and the other guy is like a leadership expert. And it hops back and forth between their experience of things. And I've read this book like 3 times.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember who the authors are, but I've read it like 3 times. And it's
Two guys in a
fantastic.
locker room?
What's that?
What's it called?
You Win in the Locker Room
You win
First.
in the locker room
Yeah.
first.
And
I'll look it up while you're talking.
it's really cool because I always thought, as a guy without a strong background in athletics or
Yeah.
any background in athletics, although I do run marathons, I always thought of a coach as like a sort of like just a guy who was like berating people and telling them what they need.
A lot
to
of
do
them
on the
are
field.
because that's what they think coaches are. Just people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the author, okay, who are the authors of this thing? Because the football coach.
John
in this-
Gordon, Michael G. Smith, Mike Smith, and Noah Gordon.
Yeah, Mike Smith. So
Yeah.
Mike Smith is the coach, who's one of the 2 authors on this thing, and he is, or maybe 3 authors,
Yeah.
and he's awesome. Like he does all this stuff that's like a traditional coach. Here are the plays. Here's what we need to be doing here, there, and there. But he's also like a coach. You know, who does all that sort of like bringing out the best in his players, and here's how he does it, and it's really valuable. It's a great read. It's very
Check
easy
it
to
out.
read.
I like it that it's short.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's short, bite size.
I'm reading 12 Rules by Jordan Peterson right now.
I don't know what that is.
He's a very controversial person
Okay.
right now on
Why?
the scene of free speech, kind of up there with Ben Shapiro and some of those other people.
All right.
So, yeah, it's 12 Rules for life.
Is it good?
So far, I'm on Rule 1.
Okay.
So
so far.
I like it so
So far.
far. There was a part in the book where I was like, I lost hope in myself.
Okay.
Like, I suck. I'm just never going. And then he brings it around, and you get to the end. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I get
Also-
it. Yeah, I feel better now.
Also, like that kind of discovery.
There's hope.
That kind of discovery is kind of important. There were times during my coach training that like, I mean, overall, I mean, it was a huge, profound, life-changing experience getting that coach training. It was not all flowers and puppies, dude. Like there were nights that I went home and I was pissed off, dude. And I went in to the next day of training pissed off. And I would open, you know, and this is a room that everybody's, you know, sort of thinks of as like, oh, we're all positivity and positive
Right.
energy. I
Yeah.
would go in and I'd be like, that's messed up, dude. I don't like that. That doesn't fit with me and blah, blah, blah. And these people at CTI, these facilitators are such incredible pros that without linguistic programming or
Right.
weird trickery of language, they can go, they see that and they're not like, oh my God, this guy's screwing up my class. They see that and they're like, yes, let's go. Let's do
Right.
it. Let's do it.
Okay.
And it's not about them changing my mind.
Yeah.
It's about them making me realize what I'm feeling and why I'm having that aversion. So that kind of thing, that even when you're reading a book and you're just sort of like, oh no.
Yeah, I was lost. I was like, I feel this huge dark cloud all of a sudden came over. It's like, oh my God, there's no hope for me.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to happen. I'm only on Rule 1 and I'm already done. Right? I suck at life. And then, yeah, he's very good at bringing it around and saying that there is hope and that you could do these things or this one thing, Rule 1. Rule 1 is stand up straight with your shoulders back. And it's just posturing, so to speak. I mean, he's talking about, if you walk into a room full of people and you're like eyes down, they are gonna react to you in a certain way.
Right.
It's just biological programming, right?
Yeah.
He uses the lobster as an example, and so he's walking to a room. I mean, he doesn't say this, but if you walk into a room with you're standing up straight and your shoulders back and you're making eye contact with people instead of like being whatever passive or docile or whatever you call that, they'll react differently to you.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you smile.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they'll react differently. You'll actually make friends as opposed to stay in this,
Right.
you know, antisocial world of,
Yeah.
you know, I suck.
You know, it's funny.
Kind of break through that.
It's funny. That goes back to, you know, there's this whole chicken or the egg thing in developing ourselves and being our best selves. It's sort of like, you know, if you reach a certain point of authentic confidence, you're naturally going to be up straight with your shoulders back, making eye contact and smiling. But if you don't have that authentic confidence, you can, like, your body is so important in informing your brain stuff that's going on. Like, your body literally knows stuff that your brain doesn't. Like, there are actual firing neurons in our guts and everywhere that inform that stuff up here. So yeah, I think it all works together. I don't think, you know, there's no sort of like,
you're saying chicken the egg.
Yeah.
Like, you could already be in that mental space, and that's why your posture is great. Or you can recognize that your posture sucks, adjust your posture. All of a sudden, your mind catches up with your body.
Right.
You know, it goes, oh, I'm alert and I'm alive and I'm a social person and I can see the world now for what it is and whatnot. You know, so yeah, it's a weird thing, and I definitely see it, and I'm practicing it more and more. I'm sitting up straight now. All of a sudden, we're both like. They used to tell us it in the Marine Corps, stand up straight. Aye, sir. We'd have to all be like this and then everyone would start falling asleep in the class. So, stand up straight. Aye, sir. Yeah, stand up straight. Yeah, we're awake. Woohoo. But yeah, it's, you know, I've lived for years in a very negative headspace, very dark, you know, and it comes on me sometimes. Yeah. And I'm learning that maybe just changing certain things that I do say to myself help affect my mind. I don't know if that's the neuro-linguistic program.
No. NLP is like weird trickery of conversation. So it's me saying something like, well, I mean, there's the question part and then there's the statement part of NLP. And by the way, I'm not an expert on this. I've sort of avoided it because I think it's icky. But it's me having a conversation with you, and instead of really connecting with you, it's trying to sort of trick your brain that something else is going on. Yeah. So it'd be like, you know, Troy, it is such a beautiful day, but wouldn't you agree that it would be better if we blah blah blah? I mean, that's actually not NLP.
That's the sales training that I always hated when I was in sales training.
Yeah.
It's like, here's how you overcome the objection.
Yeah.
You say this like this to this person.
Yeah. It's that.
They'll respond like this because they don't have a choice. It's like, I'm just
it's
openly manipulating this conversation.
And I'm sure we're going to get
figuring things out.
We're going to get comments about people who love NLP who are like, that's not what it is. So fine.
Okay,
go have fun with it.
Different strokes, different folks. Yeah. Whatever. They're free to do whatever they want. It's Freedom Friday.
Yeah.
Do your
Freedom
thing.
Friday. Go practice NLP.
Do your thing. We'll do ours.
NLP was a big thing like 10, 15 or so years ago. There were guys who were creating these programs about how to basically get any woman to sleep with you.
Oh yeah.
And that's that NLP stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to say certain things, a certain way, certain body language, and you'll get the results you want.
But back to what you were saying about like the dark cloud and when that happened, and that you know, that still happens to me, not nearly as frequently as it used to, but it still happens. What do you do when you find yourself? First of all, how do you recognize you're there?
That's what I was gonna say. Like the first thing is like. Because it's easy to just go down that, I guess, rabbit hole, or it's like quicksand. You know, I love that analogy from The Replacements. I think it was called The Replacements. Keanu Reeves, the quarterback.
Oh yeah.
They're in the locker room and said, "What do you fear the most?" People are like spiders, snakes. He's like quicksand. People are like, "What? Quicksand?" It's like, yeah, when times are hard, you're getting down. The more you struggle, the deeper you get into this pit of despair, and you feel that like you start getting this negative space. One bad thing goes wrong, and woe is me. All of a sudden, this traumatic response to it, probably because of things in the past that affect whatever. Yeah. You know, but the first thing is like, I'm doing it again. Like you have to immediately recognize that first negative thought, or you're a couple minutes into it, or you feel that going down. You feel it like in your chest, in your heart. It's like this.
Oh, so you can name where it is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's good.
You feel
actually.
it. It's like
If you-
100 pound,
if you
800
can name
pound
where it is,
gorilla
yeah.
on your shoulders, on your chest, and you get that like, and I'm angry, and it's just frustration, and everything that's wrong with my world starts just pouring over me, and it's like I don't have to recognize that. I don't have to live in that.
Right.
I can easily say no.
Yeah.
That's not where I'm going. That's not who I am, and I don't have to stay that way.
Yeah.
You know, and start speaking. I guess people will say speak positivity into your life, but yeah, start recognizing it, start speaking and changing how
Yeah.
you're reacting to it.
I like that. I like that. Yes, changing how you react to it. There's so much you said there that like you could totally dig into because I think being aware of it is great, and being able to name where you're feeling it is fantastic. And speaking of Jon Kabat-Zinn, he has this whole thing about he doesn't like the term "let it go," right? Because saying to someone like "let it go" is basically just saying "get over it," which isn't helpful.
Yeah.
But for me, when I get into that headspace, I recognize it, and I say I can let that be. Right? I can't necessarily let it go. I can't necessarily get over it, but I can acknowledge that it's there and I can let it be. And it's also not about a false sense of positivity. Positive psychology kind of drives me crazy. There's some good stuff about it, but I don't think of it as like, okay, Eric, you've got to be positive now, because then if I'm not, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And
you
so
set yourself up for failure.
Right. And so it's not about being like, I got to be positive. I got to be positive. It's about like, okay, what are the things that are all right now? And then you're talking about, you're playing on our confirmation bias. And that can be deadly when you're depressed or not feeling well, is because you started to say it. It's like there's one thing goes wrong and then suddenly you see everything else that's going wrong. And it's sort of like, oh, now all these cars are in my way getting home, and like, oh, I got another red light. And it's like, well, you're recognizing these things and confirming all this negativity and affirming all this negativity. If you switch that and you can go, okay, at least I'm not on an airplane that's crashing right now, right? Like if you can find something to be grateful for, that's actually what I go to.
It could be worse.
When I am super, super depressed and I can't find anything to be grateful for, that's my go-to. I think, well, at least I'm not on an airplane that's crashing.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all I've got.
Yeah, we say that sometimes. We were fortunate enough to go to, I think we were in France, but we were on a Mediterranean cruise, right? So it's Italy, France, and Spain, starting in Spain, going around. And we were at one of the many meat and cheese places that we, go to for
Right, as you do.
tastings. Yeah, we'd love to taste that cheese for the 10th time today, because that's all you want, right? So anyway, and we're in this place, and we're actually in France, and we walk into and it was there was a Spanish guy there, so we could speak to him a little bit in Spanish and understand him a little bit better than we could the French people. And he said something that was like, obviously he's in paradise.
Yeah.
He's like, it could be worse. Something like that. And it was just like a saying that we've kept with us. Hey, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It could be worse. It could always be worse.
It could almost always be
almost,
worse. I guess
yeah.
if you were on an airplane that was crashing, I'm not sure it could be worse then. But
Yeah.
I guess
Maybe you could, I don't know.
it could
There could be
worse
There
then,
could be
too.
another scenario.
I guess if you were on an airplane that was crashing and you had a rock in your shoe,
Right?
Then
oh, God, that'd be annoying.
Right?
Then it would be worse.
It could just always be
It
worse.
get worse than that. But it's just a good saying.
yes, no, it is.
In that process, possibly.
And there are other times when it's like really easy to snap out of it and come with gratitude. It's just like, okay, I have a great job, I have great colleagues, I have good friends, I have an amazing wife, I've got a family that supports me, right? Like there's sometimes that I just click into that and then everything goes better and turn into that sort of confirmation bias. But it's not easy, man. Like and this is another one of those things when you're trying to find your fulfillment, or you're trying to find ways to get from here to there, and anybody who's telling you they've got a way that's easy, stay the F away from those people, because all they want is your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing easy. I mean, there's old sayings like,
Yeah.
how does it go? Nothing worth doing is. There's a bunch of sayings, obviously, that have to do with the hard work or the results, and nothing good comes by taking the path less traveled. I'm just making stuff up as I go. But
That's good. We should write a book of these.
Just things we made up. We took a bunch of sayings from Poor Richard's Almanac,
You know what?
and we just moved them around. We rebranded it, and we called it something.
Here's a website idea for you. A random. This probably exists actually. There are no original thoughts. I
Nope.
swear to God, I don't know if this exists or not, but if it doesn't, you should make it a random quote generator.
Right.
It just takes a bunch of quotes that already exist and
puts them together.
bundles. like randomize
A day without sunshine is like having a pea in your under your mattress or a rock in your shoe. Well, what?
Oh my
a penny
God.
earned is $1 less spent. What?
It's 11:30.
We're doing it.
Yeah. Can I give another
Yeah, definitely.
another shameless plug?
We'll put the link down below
Yeah.
in the description if you want to get in
Yeah.
touch with how should they get in touch with you if they wanted to have
Go to journeydesigners.net, or I can be emailed eric@journeydesigners.net.
Okay.
A cool thing, I do a daily email that's a
Okay.
really short email. It's not one of these sort of long, laborious, horrible things with a links to a lot of stuff you're not going to read. The email I send out every day is a quote. Could be inspirational, could be thought-provoking or whatever, and a go forth. So it's sort of like a contemplation for you to design the journey of your day. So
Okay.
every day I send out a little quote, and then it's got a little challenge for you, like what are you going to do today to blah blah blah.
Very
It's
well.
like an open-ended question about how you're going to.
Oh, I get it. Journey designers. Oh, I get it. No, I did open it up though, telling me about that email. Like, oh yeah, journey designers. He's helping you design your journey.
Design your journey.
I like it.
Yeah.
Great name.
So-
Great branding.
Thank you. I made this logo all by myself.
I like it.
And as soon as the company really starts catching on fire, of course, Free Press will be doing all of the marketing materials.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course.
but
There is none other.
Yeah.
We're the greatest. And we guarantee in 10 days or less, no, I'm just kidding.
you'll make
$50
$50,000.
billion in your first 6 months of business or your money back.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
First place on Google.
How does that guarantee? How can someone guarantee?
I mean, it's a false guarantee. It also is just marketing. I mean, they can be really good at what they do and help you on your search in regards to SEO and search engine optimization. And they can help you get on that first page and get up there in the top 3 or in that, whatever they call the top 3 on the Google Maps. But, to guarantee it, that's what's off-putting to me. Like, because there are no guarantees. Something could go wrong. Something can always go wrong. And you're setting yourself up for failure. If something does go wrong, the client's going to be like, oh, they guaranteed and they suck. And I've heard it from clients that call us. Like, yeah, we were with this one company. They guaranteed it on the first page of Google. And I don't know, they never even called us or talked to us. And we never. Yeah, because you bought a guarantee, dude. Don't buy a guarantee. Buy the work that's going to be done. You're paying someone.
I love that.
You're paying someone to do work that you can't do or you don't know how to do yourself.
You need to write that. That should be a quote, actually.
Rewind the tape.
You can't buy a guarantee. What was it?
I don't know.
You can't
What
buy
did I
a
say?
guarantee.
We'll have to rewind
Don't
it.
buy a guarantee.
Yeah, don't buy a guarantee.
Buy the work.
Buy the
that's
work.
Yeah.
Buy the work that's going to be done. I'm paying you to provide a service.
Yeah.
And that service, like when it comes to SEO or pay-per-click campaigns that we run for clients, we're going to constantly analyze it. That's the work.
Right.
Like is it working for you? No. Okay. Well, let's change it. You don't have the money to pay someone $5,000 a month necessarily. One person, right? You hire one person to do your marketing at a company. Who knows what you're paying them per year, right? And that's only one person. You need a team of people to do all the stuff that's necessary to nowadays to promote your business online and off. So when obviously when frequent commercial for us, I guess, but we have a team of people that do the work with us and for us. So when you come to us, we are that team.
Yeah.
And we do that work for you, and we don't guarantee it, but we analyze it and pivot and switch.
Well,
and
there's also
change things up.
There's also this real cool sense of I keep going back to the word authenticity. Like there's this real cool sense of authenticity in working with you. When we were putting together Swift Cause, I would come to Troy with all sorts of crazy ideas about how things work, and things didn't work that way. And Troy didn't just say like, yeah. He would say, well, it doesn't work this way, but if what we want is this, we can do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's buying the work. That's not buying the guarantee.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to be authentic as best we can. I want to say that, but yeah, I mean, try to be real and honest in everything. Because if I can't do something or something's not working, it's like, I can't do that. Like that doesn't even compute or make sense. And I still have clients that come in and I call it I say it like this, like they come in wanting a Mercedes and wanting all these things.
Yeah.
And I tell them the price, they're like, oh, I can't do that.
Right.
Well, you have to adjust then.
Yeah.
Like if let's start with budget. What do you have? What are you willing to invest in your company?
Yeah.
Then I can tell you what we can do for you. Like you're coming at me already
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
want this, this, and that. And it's like, okay, well, this is what it's going to cost you to get the Mercedes. You're coming in here with a Kia budget, not to
Right.
bash Kia, but you have to adjust your mindset and how
Kia's
you
a fine ride.
Yes, it is. The Sportage is amazing.
Yeah, that's what I call being attached, right?
Yeah.
Is people, and by the way, I can succumb to it too, is being attached to my idea of how something is. I mean, when you get a client coming in who's like got their idea that they need the Ferrari, and the reality is, first of all, you don't need the Ferrari,
Yeah,
and second
one.
of all, the stuff that you want, you're never going to get for the budget that you have.
Yeah.
It's
been the with a startup like ourselves, we get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because they're startup, home-based business, and they're excited about their business.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from. It comes from a place obviously of genuine. They're excited and they want their business to grow, and they want to grow quick, and they want to look like a big major brand. But it's like, we have to start down. Let's start with this first.
And
then move forward.
This is why we can be at a deficit as early entrepreneurs, is because with integrity comes working from that deficit sometimes, because the people who walk in, like you just said, are the most vulnerable to the people who call themselves gurus who are promising all this stuff. And it's sort of like, I don't know how many coach clients that would have been a great fit for me went a different way because there was somebody promising them $50,000 in 6 months, right? Or someone who would have been a great client for you, was promised a Mercedes at Kia prices, went somewhere else and got ripped off. And that's all okay in the grand scheme of things. It's sort of like everybody else has to discover their own way and their own mistakes and things. And it's also just another one of those things that makes it more challenging. Ultimately, also more rewarding, though. I mean, there's no version of this where I'm going to not do it with integrity, right? There's no version of this where I'm going to make those claims I can't follow up on. But yeah, every time I see those ads pop up on Instagram or Facebook or something where
there's tons of them,
where they're the guru, I just think it's like it's really lame, and not so much in the context that I just said, where it's like, oh, someone else is getting my client because they're lying to them. It's not so much that. I'll do fine getting my clients. It's like, it makes me sad that people are out there taking advantage of others.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That they might not even realize it, but I feel like they are, because they're appealing to people in like a desperate, frustrated place.
Right.
And bringing guarantees and painting this picture of this life. It happens a lot, I think, in kind of the MLM world.
Oh, yeah.
In online marketing world, you have these people that are like, look at my results.
Oh, man.
$2,000 in only 3 days doing this. And it's like, oh, cool, great. Oh, man, I wish I had that money. I'm desperate. I need money so bad. I need to be successful. I'm stuck. I'm in this rut. Oh, my gosh, bills to pay, blah, blah. And you get almost taken. And what they're selling is like air. Like, it's not even really a product.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is so like out there, and I feel myself being sucked in. Like,
oh yeah, no, I'm not saying I can't be sold.
He did it in 3 days, and he had this store, and it's this easy. You just give this much money, and it's done for you.
Right.
Sweet. Sounds too good to be true.
Right.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. I know. No, I'm not saying I can't be sold or bought into. Like, if the right keywords are in an ad, I'll hover for a second. It's like, wait, you know the secret?
Yeah, right. $10,000 a month?
You know the secret?
Passive income? Really? Like, gosh, no work?
Oh my gosh. How has nobody else stumbled across this?
It's
all right. I gotta get to my day job.
Let's do work
here.
Let's do other work. We could talk all day.
Yeah, but, we could do all kinds of stuff. Back to the American Cancer Society for a moment before we go. Making Strides Against Breast Cancer in Ventura on Saturday, October 6th. Making Strides Against Breast Cancer in Thousand Oaks on Saturday, October 27th. The American Cancer Society Gala, the big red carpet pomp and circumstance event, is coming up on September 8th. For table sales, you can get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me for all that stuff, eric.knight@cancer.org.
At cancer.org, okay. So what's the next ACS? Is that just in October, or I know there's another relay, right?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. I'm running a huge 22K trail event tomorrow, but The Relay for Life of Conejo Valley is happening tomorrow.
Okay, that's what it
tomorrow
was. I
and
know
this
we had
weekend.
a poster in our window. I forget what.
And
which one it
Oxnard
was, but-
Oxnard Relay for Life is coming up in July. It's actually Port Hueneme, Oxnard, and Camarillo have all joined forces this year for a
Okay.
super mega Relay for Life,
That's
which is going to be awesome, and that's in July. So yeah, that's coming up.
Is that the one at Pacifica?
I believe so.
Or okay,
It's not the event that I manage, but that sounds right.
okay.
Pacifica.
Yeah, that might be the one that's on our window.
Yeah.
We have so many flyers on our window for ACS. At
For
this
good
point.
reason.
We're like a
You guys are curing cancer.
we're an annex.
You're leading
for
the
ACS.
fight. Leading the fight for a world
Yes.
without cancer.
We had a team
Um,
at the last relay. That was fun. That
Oh,
was my
you
first
guys were great.
experience.
Oh my God, it
My
was
first
so good to
experience.
have you guys there.
Yeah, I know what to expect next year, and I
Yeah.
think we're ready for next year. We're gonna bump it up a lot.
Dude, next year is going
gonna
to
be
be bonkers.
insane,
Like this
dude.
year's relay in Ventura was amazing, and next year's going to be crazy.
Now I know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now it's a challenge for me. We want to raise a lot more,
Nice,
have a bigger team.
nice.
I don't want to say what we're gonna do. I'm
All
gonna
right.
keep it a secret. You'll just have to go. Come join the team.
That's called scarcity marketing.
yeah.
What he just did is called scarcity marketing.
Come join the team, and we'll together figure out how grand we're gonna make our laps and
Yeah.
what we're gonna do. We did win third place for most spirited, I guess. team.
I was part of the American Flag Lap.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A couple people were.
Yeah. Relayforlife.org. There's a thing you can put in your zip code, and
Yeah.
it'll tell you the closest event to you.
I'll put links at the bottom for everything, for Eric's LinkedIn article if you want to read that. And then, of course, the link to journeydesigners.net, maybe his emails, whatever he wants me to put in there, I'll put in the description below. Don't forget to share this video with those who you know and care about, because it's great information. Eric brought some great stuff today, and I
Thank you.
appreciate him for being on and being willing to come on my little show.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
And
I
my
feel-
mom says hi. She's
I-
the only one watching.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Troy, Mom.
Yeah.
I'll make my mom
That's
watch it
fine.
too.
My mom's been a mom to many of my friends.
No, this is really cool. I could do this all the time. We could like. There's so much we talked about today. We could like rewind this tape
Right.
and find. Just rewind this tape. That's how old we are.
Yeah, we
We-
use a pen, and like
we could jump into the middle of this video anywhere and pick one thing and talk about
and
that
expound
for
on
an
that.
hour.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. There's a lot of stuff that you could dig in very deep on.
Very
And We
cool.
just skimmed the surface on a few things. So.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, that's Eric. That's today. That's Freedom Friday.
Thanks, everybody.
Again, like and subscribe, and that's it. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you all soon.